So we are still in the book of Daniel. We were basically doing the easy breezy stuff. Today we are going to go into a little bit more of the challenging stuff. So we are going to do a little bit of recap of the little horn, because that is the one that was so devastating. That is one that Daniel really wanted to know. The little horn is one very important aspect in Daniel chapter 7. So I gave the first assignment to Team Alex is revisit the characteristics of the little horn. And where can you find this? Verse 8, 20 to 27. Verse 8 is basically the vision, 20 to 27 as the interpretation or the explanation by the angel. You see, whenever there's prophetic visions, there's always, God wants us to understand. So you will find the word understand a lot in Daniel chapter 7 and chapter 8. Make the man understand. Make that son of man understand. So God does not give prophecies just like that for us to wonder and to be puzzled about. He gives us prophecies and He will tell us and will teach us how to understand these prophecies. Okay, so that is the first rule. Now, let's revisit a little bit about this little horn. What are some of the characteristics of this little horn? I would like to actually write it. Val, can you help me to write down the why don't we go to verse 8? First, then it's easier for everybody to understand.
In order for this little horn to come out, 3 big horns have to be uprooted. And then the second one is...
And it's from the 4th beast, am I right?
Yeah.
It's from the 4th beast.
And then the horn have eyes like man.
Eyes resembling man.
And a mouth that spoke arrogantly.
Mouth that spoke arrogantly.
After that, if we go to the second part, which is the verse 20 to 27, he waged war against the holy ones.
Okay.
Until the ancient of days arrived and judgment was given in favor of the holy ones.
Okay, so it waged war with the holy ones until judgment.
The meaning of the horn is the kingdoms.
Yes, horn equals king.
King, yeah. That is in verse 24. The 10 horns are 10 kings who
Right.
arise from this.
Okay, so this little horn comes from 10 horns. Actually, it's 11 horn. So they are he came among the kings.
Also, okay, he will speak against the Most High.
Yes,
That's
he will
the Holy
speak
One.
against the Most High.
Also, he will change religious festivals and law.
He will intend to change
Yeah.
times and laws.
Okay, and the holy ones will be handed over to him for times, and half the time.
Alright, okay. Change time and laws. And delivered into his hand for times, and half the time.
Yeah, and then verse 26 says, but the court will convene and his dominion will be taken away to be completely destroyed forever.
Okay? His dominion will be destroyed forever. The dominion will be taken away. Any indication of who the little horn is? As far as Daniel chapter 7 is concerned, there are a lot of interpretations by scholars. One of it is that it is the Roman Catholic Church, the little horn that came out from the Roman Empire. This one has been around for the longest time. The Reformers already started this theory. It's not the Seventh-day Adventists. The Reformers already started this theory about the fact that the little horn is the Roman Catholic Church. Because why? Right, because at that time they were persecuting the Christians. During that time, that's the reason why the people ran from Europe to America, because they were under great persecution. That's the reason why some of the reformers, they were executed, they were punished, they were burned at the stake and all that. That was the darkest ages of Christian history or human history. And because at that time it really fit into the description. This description was really fitting. We need to actually now see what is happening progressively. So there was indication of who was the little horn. There are some other indications of who the little horn was. Some say it's Russia, some say it's different ones. Some say it's the Muslims. So if you look at different interpretation, you will be able to see different theories coming up. Whether it's preterist, whether it's futurist, whether it's historicist. Now we are going into our lesson today. So that was just a recap, because I'm going to use this in a short while. So that's just a recap. Now we are going into Daniel chapter 8. which is the next chapter after our last week's lesson. So let's go into Daniel chapter 8, and we have Team Bell, right? Team Bell? Daniel chapter 8. We are going to talk about another vision that Daniel had. What was the vision? I put down there, you may draw and explain.
Daniel chapter 8, verse 1. In the third year of King Belshazzar's reign, I, Daniel, had a vision after the one that had already appeared to me. In my vision, I saw myself in the citadel of Susa in the province of Elam. In the vision, I was beside the Ulai canal. I looked up, and there before me was a ram with two horns, standing beside the canal, and the horns were long. One of the horns was longer than the other, but grew up later. I watched the ram as he charged towards the west and the north and the south. No animal could stand against him, and none could rescue from his power. He did as he pleased and became great. Verse 5. As I was thinking about this, suddenly a goat with a prominent horn between his eyes came from the west, crossing the whole earth without touching the ground. He came towards the two-horned ram I had seen standing beside and the canal, and charged at him in a great rage. I saw him attack the ram furiously, striking the ram and shattering his two horns. The ram was powerless to stand against him. The goat knocked him to the ground and trampled on him, and none could rescue the ram from his power. The goat became very great, but at the height of his power, his large horn was broken off, and in its place, 4 prominent horns grew up towards the 4 wings of the heaven. Verse 9. Out of one of them came another horn, which started small but grew in power to the south and to the east and towards the beautiful land. It grew until it reached the host of the heavens, and it threw some of the starry hosts down to the earth and trampled on them. It set itself up to be as great as the prince of the host. It took away the daily sacrifice from him, and the place of this sanctuary was brought low. Because of the rebellion, the host of the saints and the daily sacrifice were given over to it. It prospered in everything it did, and truth was thrown to the ground. Then I heard a holy one speaking, and another holy one said to him, "How long will it take for the vision to be fulfilled?" The vision concerning the daily sacrifice, the rebellion that causes desolation, and the surrender of the sanctuary of the host that will be trampled underfoot. He said to me, "It will take 2,300 evenings and mornings. Then the sanctuary will be consecrated."
Thank you very much. Okay, it's not easy to draw a pictorial description. Pretty good effort, and I think that really basically explains the prophetic vision. Okay, so let's go back. Let's go back. Thank you, Team Val. Let's go back. In the 3rd year, verse 1, in the 3rd year of King Belshazzar, chapter 7 was which year of King Belshazzar? First year. So this is 2 years later. It will be in 551 BC, and Daniel will be about 70 years old. Daniel will be quite an old man by now, and they are still under King Belshazzar. However, Daniel chapter 8 is slightly different because it's written in Hebrew. It moves back to the Hebrew language, which gives you a hint of what? Earlier was Aramaic, because to the secular kings. Now it is Hebrew. So it's now the message is to the Israelites. Okay, specifically for the Israelites to understand. So we are having it at about 551 before Christ. And here, Daniel does not dream. It's different from Daniel chapter 7 where Daniel was sleeping. This one, Daniel has a vision and he is translated to this place called Susa. Susa in the province of Elam. Why was Daniel transported to that place? Do you remember Ezekiel? Ezekiel was sitting by the river and he had a vision and he was transported to Ezekiel chapter 8 to Jerusalem to see the abomination in the temple. Likewise, Daniel is having this kind of vision where he is taken to this place called Susa, a citadel, right, like a fort. Because it's important for us to know the location. Why go to this place, which is away from Babylonia, 250 miles away from Babylonia, to this place called Susa? Take a guess, why was Daniel transported here? That's right, it is in Media-Persia territory. It's no longer in Babylonian territory, meaning that the prophecy would likely be about this region. Okay, and incidentally, Val was saying that Queen Esther is from there. This is the summer and winter palace for the king, the Middle Persian king. And Queen Esther was married to the Persian king called Artaxerxes or Ahasuerus. So she would have spent her time in Susa. So this is one of the summer or winter palace for the king. So you now know the location and you understand the context of the prophetic vision that Daniel is going to have. God likes to talk about rivers. Besides, this one is not a real river, it's a canal. It's a man-made river called Ulai in the province of Elam. And over there, verse 3, and it says, I looked up and I saw a ram. I saw a ram, and this ram was pushing. There are two horns, one was longer than the other. It was pushing westward, northward, southward, in three directions. And no animal was able to stand it before it, and there was none who would deliver it. And it did as it pleased, arrogantly and all that. Then, very shortly after that, Daniel saw the goat. And it's a male goat, a he-goat, was coming from the west, on the face of the whole world, and touched not the ground. That means what? When you don't touch the ground, what happens? Yes, you are basically speeding. You are basically like flying. And this goat had how many horns? One notable or conspicuous horn. And what did he do? He straight away charged at the ram, and I saw it approaching the ram, and he went into a fit of rage against the ram and struck it and broke off its two horns. And it was not able to resist the goat. Now, in the Bible, goats and rams are used in what scenario? In the Bible.
Sacrifice.
You're right. In the sanctuary, they use rams and goats as the main sacrifice. The male goat acted even more arrogantly, but no sooner had the large horn become strong, it broke off. The horn broke off, and arose four conspicuous horns in this place, extending toward the four winds of the sky. What do you mean by four winds of the sky? Four corners. Four winds means north, south, east, west. Four corners of the sky. Means it basically grew to the world. Then after that, what happened? So now we are again being told that from one of them came a small horn. From one of them, is it from the four horns or the four winds? Because there are two objects in the previous verse. What do you think?
NLT says from one of the prominent horns.
Okay. Horns? Horns. That means horns. Horns, not wind. Okay, never mind. We don't know. We will find out in a short while. If you your Sabbath school lesson is four winds. But we will let the Bible interpret itself. Okay? But it grew to be very big, that little horn, toward the south and the east and toward the beautiful land. Where is the beautiful land? On the earth. They always refer to Israel as the beautiful land. Okay, the beautiful land. So it went south, it went east. This time it's going east, and then it went toward the beautiful land. It grew so big, it reached the army of heaven, and it brought about the fall of some of the armies and some of the stars to the ground. So it reached even where it trampled down. And then what happened? The little horn now started to go into the sanctuary. It also acted arrogantly against the prince of army, from whom the daily sacrifice was removed and whose sanctuary was thrown down. What is the daily sacrifice? Yes, the burnt offering, morning and evening. Morning and evening. In the book of Leviticus, we have gone through it already. Is they actually do burnt offering, morning, evening, morning, evening. So the little horn removed that, and the sanctuary was thrown down. Means something happened into the sanctuary of God. And something happened. And after that, the army was given over along with the daily sacrifice in the course of his sinful rebellion. So this little horn again is going to go against God. It's going to go against God. It will hurl truth to the ground and will enjoy success. After that, you hear of two holy ones, two angels talking to each other. They're actually talking to each other to tell Daniel. It's very dramatic, isn't it? Such a drama. To what period of time will that pertain? And what is the period of time? 2,300 Yes, I like that. Thank you. You didn't say days. You said evenings and mornings. Why would it be written as evening and mornings when it could have just been days? But all our versions say evening and morning because the Hebrew version says evening and morning. Is it to distinguish one full day? Or is it to say, yes, the evening sacrifice is done, the morning sacrifice is done? Interesting, isn't it, if you start close reading? We've always known this to be 2,300 days. Of course, evening and morning is day. But why specifically make it so poetic, evening and morning?
Daily sacrifice.
Yes, right, good. I've got good students here. You see, this whole chapter is all about the sanctuary service actually. This is a summary. What did Daniel see in his vision? The ram, the goat. The goat destroys the lamb. Then the goat's big horn is broken, and in place 4 others grow in its place, and one of the 4 horns eventually becomes very powerful. Clear of the vision? It's a simple vision, it's a dramatic vision. Now, like I said, God will always give interpretation. And here we are getting to see interpretation of prophecy coming very, very clearly. So we are going into 8 verse 15. What's the interpretation of the vision, and what was Daniel told to do?
The interpretation starts from verse 19 onwards.
Okay, who was the one that came to Daniel?
It was Gabriel.
Gabriel, okay, verse 16.
On verse 19, he said, I am here to tell you what will happen at the conclusion of the time of wrath, because it refers to the appointed time of the end. The 2-horned ram that you saw represents the kings of Media and Persia. The shaggy goat represents the king of Greece, and the large horn between his eyes represents the first king.
Right, now it's name. There is a name already. In Daniel chapter 2, there was no name. Daniel chapter 7, there was no name. Daniel chapter 2, the only name was Nebuchadnezzar. Now in Daniel chapter 8, there is a name. And the name is very clear. Direct. Media and Persia and Greece.
The 4 horns that took the place of the broken horn represent 4 kingdoms. They will rise from that nation, but without its power, not as great as the first kingdom. Near the end of their kingdoms, when the rebels have reached the full measure of their sin, a ruthless king skilled in intrigue will come to the throne. His power will be great, but it will not be his own. He will cause outrageous destruction and succeed in whatever he does. He will destroy the powerful along with the holy people. He will cause deceit to prosper through his cunning and by his influence. And in his own mind, he will exalt himself. He will destroy many in a time of peace. He will even stand against the prince of princes. Yet he will be broken, not by human hands. The vision of the evenings and the mornings that has been told is true. Now, you are to seal up the vision because it refers to many days in the future.
Wow. What more can we say? Okay, what more can we say about the interpretation? First thing is that he says that the ram is
Media and Persia.
okay, Media and Persia.
The goat itself represents Greece, and the horn that was between his two eyes, the large horn, that represents the first king. And after the first king, there will be the four horns, also representing four kingdoms.
And then at the end of their reign,
A ruthless king, skilled in intrigue, will come to the throne.
alright, so toward the end of their reign, another king will come. So it comes from where? The four horns or the four winds? From this verse. From this verse. Is it four horns or four winds? Four horns. From this verse, it would seem that towards the end of the four kings, one king will come out from there. A ruthless king. Like, it doesn't seem to be four winds. Earlier it may be, because not sure, but now towards the end, at Angel's interpretation, it would seem that it comes from the four horns, correct? Actually, it explains so easily itself. So here it says that the ram is Medo-Persia. Historically, did that happen? Historically, definitely it happened. Medo-Persia is here. It was quite a formidable force, but it wasn't as strong as Babylon at this time. In the 30 year of Belshazzar, Babylon is still the greatest kingdom at that time. But Medo-Persia was certainly growing. What happened? It went north, it went west, it went south, it didn't go to the east. Thank God it didn't come to Malaysia. Historically, it captured Lydia, Egypt, Babylon. You remember the bear that was raised up on one side? Yes, last week? Yeah. Because Persia apparently is stronger than Medo. So there's this one. And then the bear was biting three ribs. Yeah, they interpret it as these three nations that Medo-Persia conquered. This was mentioned like 300 years before it happened. Then after that, it was very clear that the he-goat is Greece. Was there a Greece nation at that time? It was there, but it was not united. There was Macedonia, there was Thrace, but it wasn't really a formidable force until which king? This one we learn in history one. Who is the greatest king of Greece?
Alexander the Great.
Yes, we don't even have to be biblical scholars or even Bible scholars. All of us learn in history. But those days we learned that one of the greatest emperors or kings of Greece was this guy called Alexander the Great. He was only 20 years old when he went on the throne. He expanded his empire. He was one of the great warriors. He was one of those commanders that will go in front together with his people. So his conquest included, he went into Egypt, he went to Persia, but his idea was to unite Greece. That's where the nation of Greece came out. And after that, he moved to Anatolia. Anatolia is Turkey today, in Persia. He went south and all that. In fact, he widened his empire. Unfortunately, what happened to him? He died at a very young age, at the age of 32 or 33, died of fever. That's why the horn says that even when it was strong, it was destroyed. And Alexander is one of those that have quotations, We love that. Very inspirational quotations nowadays we learn. And this is one of the quotations that I love. There is nothing impossible for him who will try. Imagine those days also we've got all these motivational speakers. He was a great orator. You can go and look up some of his speeches. Because his son was only 1 year old, that's why his kingdom was divided to his generals, his 4 generals: Seleucus, Ptolemy, Cassander, Lysimachus. The strong ones are Seleucus and Ptolemy. You may have heard of Ptolemy. Have you heard of Cleopatra? Yeah, it will come later, Cleopatra. So these are the 4 nations which coincide with Chapter 7. Which beast was it?
Leopard with wings.
The leopard with wings. The leopard has 4 heads. So does it coincide with Greece? Yes. So you can see that prophecy is being explained even more clearly. Daniel chapter 2 we don't really know. We only know the silver, the bronze and all that. But then after that, chapter 7 we only see the beast. But now in chapter 8 we are seeing it clearly that who are the nations. But did Daniel know that this Medo-Persia is going to come and destroy Babylon? It doesn't say here. No? He was transported to Medo-Persia to show that Medo-Persia and Greece is going to come up. But did Daniel know that Medo-Persia is going to attack Babylon? If he had been a good Bible student of the Tanakh, he would have referred to Isaiah 13 verse 17, which was prophesied about 100 years ago, that Babylon is going to be destroyed by the Medes. You go back and read. So if Daniel was a good Bible scholar, he would have known. It's not mentioned here, but he would have known that the Medes are going to destroy Babylon. Just didn't know when, until the writing on the wall. Okay, you can go back and you can write it down and go back. Isaiah 13, 17. Isaiah 13 is all about the destruction of Babylon. And you will see that it will rise up the Medes, 13, 17. So you see, the Bible is explaining everything. If only we were to do contextual study and proper exegesis. Now we go to the little horn that comes out from the 4 horns. What is this little horn? Who is this little horn? In the first place, is this little horn the same as the little horn in chapter 7? Chapter 7 got little horn, right? Right? Chapter 8 also got little horn. This horn. Is it the same little horn? You are in advanced class, that's why I asked all these questions. Is it the same horn in Daniel 7 and Daniel 8?
Different.
Why?
One replace 3, the other one is 1 out of the 4.
Right. Okay. Here there are 4 beasts. Here there's 2 beasts. Then what else? Here there's 10 horns.
Yeah.
Here there's 4 horns. But the characteristics are almost the same. So we cannot associate Daniel chapter 7 little horn with Daniel chapter 8 little horn, but traditionally they do. But exegetically, we can't. Same characteristics, different timeline, because this one comes out from the 4th beast. Am I right? The chapter 7 comes out from the 4th beast, which is Rome. This one comes out from the 4 horns, which is still. You just read it, isn't it? That at the end of the 4 horns, 1 horn will rise. Verse 22 and 23 of Daniel chapter 8. That is Greece. The timeline is different. But nevertheless, there's a horn. Because this one will come after the 10 kings. Correct, not? The 10 told 10 kings. This one will be the 4 kings come up from the Alexander time, the Greece, which if you want to say the leopard, fine, yeah. So, historians or scholars say that this little horn is Antiochus Epiphanes. Antiochus Epiphanes was a king that came out from the Seleucus Empire. You can go back and read. There are some interpretation this way that this little, not the one in the here one, The one in Daniel chapter 8, come out from the Greece one, is this guy called Antiochus Epiphanes, who actually desecrated the temple. He brought in Zeus, he conquered Jerusalem, he brought in the statue of Apollo, and he sacrificed pig in the temple. Then, in a couple of years later, there was a group of Israelites called the Maccabees, if you have heard about them. They revolted against this emperor and chased him out. That's why you have Judas Maccabees, one of the great heroes in that time. So this is another theory. I said this is another theory. It's a very, very common theory. Some of your Bible commentary will say that it's Antiochus Epiphanes. So I want you all to be familiar with this name. In case you go to other seminars and you come across this name, Antiochus Epiphanes IV. He actually desecrated the temple physically in that time. It's about 168 BC. You can be totally confused, but I want you to be confused. Because I want you to study. Because the more you study, the more you will discover the truth. But yet, we still have how many chapters to go? We still have 4 more chapters to go to really figure out the truth. So let's not jump the gun, but this one is historically, that's what they say, and I have to wrap up. And so to basically combine the three, you have the golden statue, correct? You have the 4 beasts, which is quite a line. And then you have this, Daniel chapter 8, which is the ram and the horn. But here seems to be lost. Here is very clear, right? But here seems to be lost. But in Daniel chapter 11, things will be very, very clear. Then it becomes blur again. Daniel chapter 8 is specifically against worship. Because sanctuary is about worship. So Daniel chapter 8 is about worship. Whether it's Antiochus Epiphanes, it's a Roman Catholic, whatever it is, Daniel chapter 8 is talking about desecrating the worship of God. What I want to tell you is that as more as I study, and I study critically and exegetically, I find new truths. And we must be able to accept new truths. What I don't want is that one day you wake up like the great disappointment in 1844 when Jesus didn't come, and you totally lost your faith. Because Antichrist is not only one person. Remember a couple of weeks ago, we thought that the coup at the government was done by one person. The first day we thought it was Mahathir. Second day we thought it was Azmin. Third day then we figured out it was Muhyiddin. But at the end of the day, who was behind it? But there are people working behind the scene. It's not one person. Okay? The attack on God is not only one person. There are people working behind the scene. So whether it's the little horn here or the little horn here, there are evil forces fighting behind.